Welcome. My name is Herwig Schoen and I founded ReConnective Therapy in 1997. I was in the healing arts before. I was practicing homeopathy, and there came a time where I felt compelled to occasionally put my hands onto people. And what happened when I did that was really surprising to me as well as my clients, and things happened, healing happened, that some people called miracles. And so I decided to offer this and to make it available to everybody who wanted to, although I didn't understand what was happening, but the results were really enormous. So it took me 2 years to get together the basics of what I'm going to explain to you now and present to you now of how ReConnective Therapy works. An easy way to understand for the Western mind is if we take the intellectual route and look at the relationship between physical matter and force. So everyone knows that physical matter only moves if a force is moving it. So any piece, anything you have, like your car, a chair, anything that only moves when a force moves it. So the dishes in your sink, they will stay there forever until a force, in this case it's you or somebody else, takes them and moves them. So what you see on the screen, the big black block, that represents physical matter. So these 3 waves to the left represent force. And only then, if a force is applied, physical matter will move. Otherwise, it won't. If there's no force, this block will stand there for good. So this is step 1. Step 2, we're applying this insight to a complex system of physical matter, such as a cell. Can be any cell, human cell, animal cell, plant cell, it doesn't matter. So what we do, we take the cell apart. We say, okay, this cell consists of carbon and oxygen and nitrogen and hydrogen and trace elements. So all of this, these 5 symbols on the bottom, represent all the physical matter that comprise this one cell. So now we do an experiment in our thoughts and we pile all this matter up onto one pile, like this. So this is exactly what you see here, is exactly the amount of physical matter and the elements comprising the living cell you saw before. But you can see very clearly these 2 are not the same. There's a difference, between the pile of physical matter and a living cell. So what is the difference? Well, it's very clear. The difference is a force organizing and moving physical matter into structure and function of a living cell. So what you see here on the screen, the dotted lines represent exactly this force and the templates of physical body, of the structure and function of the cell. So these 2 can coexist forever. The force can be there and physical matter can be there, and there will not be a cell. At the moment the force decides to move physical matter, then a cell manifests. And only then a cell manifests, as you can see here. Also, this force can decide to stop moving physical matter, and then the cell would fall apart, leave us with a pile of physical matter as we have seen before. Now we go to the next step. We don't look at one cell, we look at a very complex system of cells, such as the physical body. So you see, the physical body starts with 2 cells. There's the sperm and there's the egg. And the sperm and the egg, they merge and become one, creating something new. So 1 cell, this is how it starts. So 1 cell becomes 2 cells, and 2 cells become 4 cells. 4 cells become 8 cells, and then 16, and then 32, 64, and so it goes on, building what medicine calls a cytoblast. And then all of a sudden, the cytoblast, it takes shape. So we can already see the outlines of a physical body. And then there will be the distinction of different systems, like the skin, the central nervous system, the organs, the bones, everything. And then there will be birth, and then the body matures. So for every stage in the growth process, there is a specific template. And these templates, they blend into each other until the body is fully matured. So what you can see here, what we did, we put a glow around the physical body. This glow represents the force organizing matter into structure and function of the physical body. And we call this force the energy body. The templates of physical body structure and function are just a small aspect of the energy body. The energy body is much more. The energy body is all our thoughts, all our feelings, all our memories, everything, all our consciousness, and everything that we say to this is me, and much, much more, because it also contains all the subconscious content. So things we're not consciously aware of. It's all in there. So we can see that consciousness is not tied to physicality. And this also can be proven because the same thing happens. There will be a time for most people where this force or the energy body leaves the physical body and the physical body falls apart. And this is the process that humans call death. So the interesting thing is, it happens the moment the heart stops. Not when the brain doesn't work, it happens the moment the heart stops. The energy body disconnects from the physical body. So for people, this has happened, that the heart stopped and later on started beating again. They report that they left the physical body and they were fully conscious. They could think, they could feel, they could hear everything, they could see everything, and they were still themselves. There was no difference except they didn't have a physical body. That was all. So consciousness is a very, very important aspect. Consciousness is not tied to physicality. So what you see on the screen, we have two rings of dotted line. We have an inner ring, we have an outer ring. The inner ring represents physical body structure and function as is. Information of physical body structure and function as is. Everything. So the way the physical body looks like, height, size, shape, color, organs, DNA, hair, anything. So don't forget, the DNA is physical matter. So there has to be a force, a template also, that is structuring and building the double helix of the DNA. And this is also in the energy body. So it's not the DNA determining what we look like. This is basically a memory bank of protein synthesis. It is in the energy body, the template that builds the physical DNA. Don't forget that. The outer ring of dotted lines contains information of physical body structure and function in perfection. So the power that this carries, just very simply, imagine this information of perfection were to be connected to your physicality 100%. You would never have pain, you would never be sick, and you would not age. This is what is in the energy body of every human being. So to explain the work of ReConnective Therapy to you, we have created a hypothetical scenario of this person having liver problems. So you can see it in the physical body. There's a liver that's gray, that's unhappy. So it's some kind of disease, doesn't matter what it is. So we have already learned, if this is in the physical body, this has to be in the energy body first. Otherwise, it can't be in the physical body that way. In the energy body, in the template of perfection, we have, of course, liver structure and function, information of liver structure and function of perfection. So now when you look at this, it already becomes clear. You know, if we could put a wire from the information of the perfect liver all the way into the physical body, the problem would be solved. And this is exactly what we are about to do. So this person has symptoms, finds a therapist. So what you see in the upper left is the therapist. The therapist, structurally speaking, looks exactly the same. there's a template of as is, physical body structure and function as is, and there's a template of perfection. So what the therapist does, the therapist activates his or her template of perfection. And to us, you know, when you read energy, it looks like you turn up a light. It becomes really bright, like this. So what this causes is a resonance effect. And let me explain the resonance effect very briefly. Resonance effect is something that comes from physics, and it has to do with how things can influence each other that are able to vibrate. So if you have two guitars in the same room, for example, and you pull the A string on one guitar, the A string on the other guitar will vibrate. Why? Because they're tuned to the same frequency. That's called, very simply called, resonance. So what happens is, when the therapist activates his template of perfection, there's a resonance effect in the template of perfection in the client that will also start vibrating, or in other words, activating. So there's one more question to address, is how do we know what information is being connected? Because this particular client wouldn't be happy if we connect, let's say, information of left knee structure and function into his or her body. That wouldn't work. This is not what this person is coming for. This person has problems with the liver. So that was something it took me a long time to figure out, because I was observing what happened, but for the first 2 years I didn't really understand what happened, but I just noticed that it happened and how it always rippled through the body, affecting everything. So what I found out eventually was that the template of perfection is not a static thing, like something you put on paper, like a drawing, and once it's there, it's just there and it sits there. The template of perfection is a living being, and it's highly intelligent. It is almost like it's a split aspect of the great intelligence that has created everything, like what some people call God also. So this intelligence decides what has to be done. So here, let's just assume it decides to resonate exactly to where the liver imperfection is. And that can look about like this. You know, so then it starts activating as well. You see the glow around the liver of perfection. From there, it restructures the template as is, the liver in the template as is. From there, it goes into the physical body, restructures the physical body. And not only this, I found out a long, long time ago, this connection also anchors all the way into the physicality, meaning it will never disappear. So from now on, this will provide a constant stream of information into the physical body, a constant stream of information from the template of perfection into the physical body. When the body has all it can take, then the intelligence in the template of perfection of the client, it shuts itself off against the resonance effects and says, I'm done. Then there is no reason for the therapist to keep activating, and that's it. A treatment like this will take usually about 4 weeks to do all the changes and all the transformation in the physical body as well as the mind of the client. What I also saw over the years doing this is that the connections stay. It was really an amazing thing. See, even some people, they came to me once and then they came years later, and I saw the process of this one treatment still being active in them. I saw, wow, this connection is still there. And in the 17 years I'm doing this, I've never seen these connections disappear. They anchor in the physical body and they seem to stay for good, providing a constant stream of information from the template of perfection all the way into the physical body. This is not energy work, because this is, energy is the force that moves things, but strictly speaking, what we're working with here is information. I just call it energy work so it makes it easier to not have to do this distinction. But strictly speaking, it's informational work. And in the 21st century, knowing computers, we know that the transference of information can be really fast, gigabytes in a second. So 1 gigabyte is like a Titanic library, And so it doesn't surprise that these treatments are very short. They're like seconds. In seconds, it's all done. Practicing ReConnective therapy is a learned skill. It's not a gift that one person has and the other one does not. We also train practitioners so you can use this in your own practice. Treatments in ReConnective therapy can be done in person as well as long distance. If you're interested in receiving treatments, please contact our office and you will find the contact information on our website www.ReConnectiveTherapy.com. Thank you very much.